It's a completely alien world. When you go below the ice, down into the world below, the water is gin clear.
Science correspondent Miles O'Brien has been chronicling one scientist's quest to track what's happening with one of the most important glaciers.
There have been numerous conspiracy theories created over the years concerning not just the coldest, but also the most desolate and harsh continent on Earth, Antarctica. Numerous tales of ancient civilizations buried in the ice, preserved like Pompeii, quite possibly complete undamaged ruins of an ancient advanced now lost civilization, their lifestyles, buildings, even entire cities are claimed as an actual truth by a number of fringe researchers. These claims have sparked speculation about how these aliens live. Scientists and researchers have been studying extraterrestrial sightings for decades in order to learn more about them, but with little to show for their efforts. This was true until a recent revelation revealed the existence of alien life in Antarctica and an attack on US Navy SEALs by technologies thought to be UFOs. Are there really aliens on Earth? And if so, where are they in Antarctica? Join us as we investigate the possibilities of alien life in Antarctica. Our technology on Earth has tremendously evolved as a result of the efforts of scientists and engineers. We now have probes, satellites, and telescopes that were not available 50 to 100 years ago. Scientists and astronomers have been able to efficiently explore the solar system owing to these advanced technologies, particularly telescopes. The Pan-STARRS telescope, for example, was utilized to discover an alien probe that visited our planet from interstellar space. The Pan-STARRS telescope detected the alien probe while performing its weekly sky survey. The Pan-STARRS telescope, located on the Hawaiian island of Maui, monitors the sky for any astronomical objects in space that move or vary in brightness. During one of these examinations, Canadian astronomer Robert Werrick detected the strange and little object, which was spotted 33 kilometers from Earth. At first, the astronomer thought it was an asteroid, but it didn't look like other asteroids, despite the fact that when tests and research on the body began, astronomers' observations showed it was a comet based on its orbit around the Sun. The orbit of the object had an extremely high elliptical form, which is only known to be followed by comets. However, unlike other comets, this object did not have a dazzling dusty tail, which was their indicator that it was not a comet or an asteroid. Several thoughts and speculations regarding where the object came from began to flow across the scientific world from that point forward. Scientists were left with only one explanation for the phenomena. The strange object may have come from another star system in the ancient past and was ejected at some time before colliding with ours. After realizing that this was their only alternative, the scientists dubbed the discovery Oumuamua, which means a messenger from the distant past reaching out to us. Aside from its origin, scientists were perplexed by the strange object's shape and other characteristics. When the object was spotted, Robert Werrick returned to the telescope photographs from the previous day's scan. They discovered the object in these photos while studying images taken by the Pan-STARRS telescope. Researchers also discovered that, despite being around 230 meters long, Oumuamua was only 40 meters thick, giving it the appearance of a cigar. Researchers' analysis revealed strange movements and speeds as it traveled, implying that Oumuamua must be traveling through our solar system with its mechanisms. The scientists were particularly perplexed by its movement because, according to their research, the power provided by the object's propulsion was sufficient to drive a lengthy object like the Oumuamua to spin out of control. On the contrary, the Oumuamua appeared to be in complete command. The object appeared to be absolutely stable, revolving in a tumbling motion that did not appear to be disintegrating or breaking apart. However, that was not the only thing that perplexed scientists. The body of the object was extremely shining, as if it were made of dazzling metal and coated in highly reflective paint. It also absorbed very little of the sunlight that shone on it. Because of this, the Oumuamua has become the most recent topic of discussion among astronomers and a topic of interest to people all over the world. As a result, many people have offered their perspectives on what they think this peculiar object might be. As scientists began to formulate theories, some believed that the Oumuamua shape, motions, and shininess was so odd that they didn't appear natural. As a result, prominent theories focused mostly on the possibility that the object is a spacecraft manufactured by an alien civilization from another galaxy. Some believe the item was sent by an alien civilization to spy on our solar system, while others believe it was a scientific probe that escaped from another planet. However, Harvard physicist Dr. Avi Loeb believes that Oumuamua may have been launched from a star within 16,000 light-years. Aside from the various explanations presented by scientists, one aspect remains unchanged. What if the Oumuamua collided with the Earth? If the object was an alien probe that travelled into our solar system, it may crash into our planet, similar to other UFOs that have landed here on Earth. Some of the past civilizations that are thought to have been buried and preserved under Antarctica's ice include UFOs that crash-landed there several decades ago, presumably before the Arctic region was ever covered by ice. Several expeditions have been carried out in Antarctica, particularly when there was new information about the potential of a lost alien civilization buried beneath the ice of Antarctica. The majority of the data are still classified. However, leaked information from the files claimed that a combat took place in the Arctic Circle with what were only known and could be seen as flying saucers. This prompted the US Navy SEALs to embark on an Antarctic expedition. Years later, various studies in Antarctica have been conducted, and experts have proven that forms of alien life could have existed there in the past. An astonishing 2006 Russian documentary, just translated into English, revealed new details regarding a US Navy Antarctica mission in 1946-47. The scientific mission, which was originally scheduled for 6 months, was officially named the United States Navy Antarctic Development Program and given the operational designation Highjump. The naval component of Operation Highjump was known as Task Force 68, and it included 4,700 military men, 1 aircraft carrier, the USS Philippine Sea, one of the largest carriers at the time, and a number of naval support ships and aircraft. Admiral Richard Byrd, the legendary polar explorer, led the naval expedition, which was tasked with consolidating and extending American authority over the greatest practical region of the Antarctic continent. According to initial news accounts based on conversations with crew members who spoke to the press while passing through Chilean ports, Byrd's mission terminated after only 8 weeks with several fatalities. Rather than refute the high mortality rate, Admiral Byrd declared in a news conference that Task Force 68 had discovered a new opponent capable of flying from pole to pole at extraordinary speeds. The words of Admiral Byrd were publicized in the Chilean press, but were never publicly acknowledged by US officials. Indeed, Byrd never spoke to the press again about Operation Highjump, allowing researchers to hypothesize for decades about what transpired and why Byrd was silenced. Following the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1991, the KGB revealed previously classified files that shed light on the mysterious Byrd-led naval expedition to Antarctica. Recent investigations by scientists have shown that it may be feasible for life to exist beneath the ice that covers Antarctica. They uncovered a warm and potentially habitable oasis beneath Antarctica's thick ice. During one of its eruptions, Mount Erebus, a volcano, created a hollow system of ice caves. Inside these ice caves, temperature fluctuations of up to 25 degrees Celsius are possible. This is due to the 2 extreme climate products, Antarctica's ice and heat from the volcano, which combined to create a highly comfortable environment inside the caverns. While doing forensic investigations of the soil in the caves, principal researcher Keredwyn Fraser and her colleagues from the Australian National University discovered some alarming findings. They identified DNA traces in mosses, algae, and even small creatures as a result of their experiments. Surprisingly, no animals or vegetation could be seen in the caves at the time. Researchers have assumed that sufficient temperature conditions inside the caverns may be hospitable enough for a variety of plants and creatures since their discovery. When the DNA traces from the caves were analysed, it was also likely that new species yet to be found lived in those caverns. The results of the DNA sequence were extremely comparable to those of arthropods, according to lead researcher Fraser. This shows that insects like spiders and mites might dwell within the warm caverns. However, these may not be the only traces of DNA discovered, since some may be buried deeper in the tundra. It is suggested to delve deeper into these discoveries and intensify them by researching more areas in Antarctica to gather more evidence. That is not the only evidence of alien life, as there has been plenty of evidence of aliens and UFOs, including reports on them. Some of this data comes from declassified documents from the US government and NASA. 3 videos that were provided alongside the UFO reports file under the Freedom of Information Act are examples of such declassified files. One of the footages shows some military pilots in a jet recording the alien spaceship. The spaceship was detected using an infrared camera that detects any flying aircraft. This footage was shot during a period when reports of UFO sightings were common in the United States. Thus, seeing an actual flying spaceship completely blew the military jet pilots. When they were recording the flying object, they assumed it was a drone flying leisurely above the East Coast. After the military pilots who recorded the video showed it and were questioned about it, they noticed that the object looked to rotate and move about in the sky. However, the conditions were not favourable at the moment, and this breeze would have destabilised the drone. However, this object in the sky did not appear to be disturbed by the wind, but rather moved against it. They also noticed that the flying object did not move and function exactly as a typical plane should. The first 20 seconds of the footage saw minimal action until the 23rd second, when an unusual object was observed through the infrared camera. A small bump occurred in the video, and at the same time, an object was visible rotating counterclockwise. The pilot filming the video initially thought he saw something different until the same bump rotated twice. When the spaceship completed its longest revolution, the pilot grew confident about the dimensions of the craft and said to his co-pilot, "Look at that thing, it's rotating." One pilot was taken aback by the sighting, while the other took careful notes about their discovery. Scientists and researchers alike hope to uncover additional discoveries as time passes, especially with the significant steps being made in Antarctica. Do aliens exist in Antarctica? Tell us in the comments down below.